You have to speak to Warner Brothers about that. But then in front of us were Russian, Ukrainian, actors. And they were fighting on the same side in our movie. And during the breaks, they would sit down and joke around and laugh with each other. I think what's unique about Ken is that, and the reason he probably translates so well to working in Hollywood films as well, is that he's able to perform and convey emotion and thought processes without using dialogue. Like, language is not important to his performance. Like, you can watch him, on the monitor and understand everything he's thinking, or even if you don't understand Japanese, you still know what he's saying because you can feel it in his face. He's like very aware, he understands the camera and exactly what to do. What looks like a very natural, accidental moment because it's so believable, but then you do the second take and he does it exactly the same, perfectly. And you realize that he has made a million decisions of how to do that moment. But equally, if you talk to him, he will change it completely. Like, he's very adaptable and he's one of the easiest actors I've ever worked with. You don't have to micromanage him. He asks you certain questions about the scene or his character, and then he understands, and then you never have to talk about it again. It's like a dream for a director. The main thing is I just remember him laughing and like nudging me and just laughing at me when we were shooting. There's this whole big battle sequence with the robots versus the humans, and we filmed it in this amazing location in Thailand, like the second longest wooden bridge in the world, and him and the other robots have created like a barrier across his bridge that no one can pass. I wanted to be able to film it where you could film, like, you could see 360 degrees and see the whole world and not see the crew. So I managed to talk all of our crew to hide and disappear. And so you couldn't see them. So it looked like just me, the sound man, and like the assistant cameraman, and then Ken Watanabe. And so he would stand there and look around, and it looked like we were a student film because there was just like 3 or 4 of us. And he just found it so funny because he was a bit like, oh, you managed to get rid of the crew. Like, he knew that this is like a dream of mine, was to be able to make a very small film but have this massive epic canvas, and so I think he was either mocking me or he was very happy for me. I'm not sure which. I think probably my favorite design of the future world is Akira, Katsuhiro Otomo. I think his aesthetic is the best in the world. Like, and it was very hard to find other references that were that good. You have to speak to Warner Brothers about that. And strangely, we found like Sony product design from the 80s and 90s were a big reference to us, like Nintendo. There is something about the characteristics of those products where you understand what the object is straight away. In like with the iPhone, it's just a simple rectangle. It has no character. And the kind of things that Japan was designing back then, they felt like objects of desire that you'd want to own, and collect. And so this movie is like going back to that, like to the future we were promised as children. That feels far cooler than the one we actually got today. It was actually very interesting. There is a big tank battle sequence, like futuristic tank battle in the movie. We had to have what looked like American soldiers fighting against the robots, and we were shooting in Thailand during the pandemic, and it was very hard to find Western faces, and the only place we could find anyone was this expat community of Russian and Ukrainian people. We ended up filming the first tank battle shots the same day that Russia went into the Ukraine, and we were seeing this like terrible imagery on our iPhones, but then in front of us were Russian, Ukrainian, actors, and they were fighting on the same side in our movie. And during the breaks, they would sit down and joke around and laugh with each other. And to me, that was what our film was about. It's about that the more you get to know somebody, the more you spend time with somebody that different to you, the more you realize that you're actually the same. And so it was very heartwarming to see these Russian and Ukrainian people being friends and working together. It felt very like it was speaking to the theme of the movie.